The Mario Galaxy movie recently came out, and with it came a bunch of online discourse of whether or not it's good. One of the main complaints from people, myself included, is the fact that the movie doesn't really have a plot, and any plot that it does have is paper thin. The counter argument that has been presented by many people is that it's a Mario movie, it doesn't need a deep plot. They point to the games as an example, saying that the games don't really have a plot either, they're just fun. I believe I've come up with a simple reason why no plot in the Mario games is fine, but no plot in the Mario movie is bad. I think it boils down to the fact that movies are passive entertainment. You're just watching them, and games are active entertainment. You are directly controlling what's happening on screen, and in a really good game, it feels like you are the one making those actions and decisions. In order for a movie to be engaging, it has to present us with things that we find interesting. This can be done in many ways, but I find it's most effective when it's done through characters. If you can show me a character that's relatable in some way, and by relatable, I mean not in the sense of, oh, this character looks like me or talks like me. No, I mean relatable in the sense that this character has wants or dreams, or is going through this type of struggle, or just has struggles in general. It's much easier for an audience to start to see themselves in that character. And once you see yourself in a character, you can start to empathize with the character. Or maybe that character has interesting motivations that maybe you don't align with, but you're curious to see what that character does in order to achieve their goals. And once those things happen, an audience can then be invested in the story. There are plenty of movies with very simple plots, and yet those movies are considered great movies. This is all because of the character work done in the movies. You don't need a super intricate deep plot with a ton of different twists and turns. You just need good character work for it to be an interesting movie. This is why a lot of movies are looked down on for what people call mindless action. Now, let's talk about the video game side of things. Video games have a ton of different genres within them, and while it's possible to tell a really deep, compelling story, a deep story isn't necessary for your game to be good. Look at any Mario game and try to tell me that they are telling a really interesting story. They're not, and I would say that most Mario games don't even attempt to tell a story. This is because in a video game, the story is the actions that you take. A Mario game doesn't need an interesting story because it makes up for that in interesting gameplay, which in turn creates an interesting story for you, because you are the one choosing and controlling the character. To help illustrate this point a little better, think of the last time you told a personal story to a friend, something that happened to you. Was that story super interesting? Would it make a great plot for a movie? The answer is most likely not, but to you, it's still an interesting story because it happened to you. You were an active participant in the story, and it's the same thing with video games. Nintendo games are so often incredible games because they allow you to be an active participant in the story and the world by providing interesting, compelling gameplay. Now, let's go back to the Mario Galaxy movie. If this were a video game, and you were the one controlling the characters in all of these segments of the movie, I think you would find that it would be a pretty compelling, engaging experience. However, we are passive participants in this experience, and because the characters and the plot are so paper thin, there's nothing for us to latch onto. A common counter criticism of the movie is that it's for kids. It doesn't need anything more than a paper thin plot because the movie is just fun. I think this is the silliest argument ever. For starters, I don't like it when something of low quality is looked at as something just made for kids. Kids deserve great, high quality things to enjoy, whether that's music, movies, books, TV shows, video games, or whatever. Just because it's kid friendly doesn't mean that it can't be made well. I also just don't like the phrase kids movie or a kids video game. I prefer the term family friendly. Saying something is a kids movie implies to me that it's just not very good. I wouldn't call a Mario game a great kids game because to me that sounds like an insult. They are great games, period. They can be enjoyed by the whole family. The classic example that I like to go with for movies is The Incredibles. I think this is the best example of a movie that can be enjoyed by the whole family, no matter what age the viewer is. It doesn't dumb anything down, and it's highly entertaining while offering a very compelling arc for all of its characters. To use the excuse that it's just a kids' movie to shove criticisms under the rug is an insult to the Mario franchise as a whole. The point I wanted to make at the end of this video is that video games stand alone and are unique in their approach to telling a story. And they can tell us a story in so many different ways, but the one thing they have in common is that you are an active participant in the story. Whether it's an avatar that you create or a character with a predetermined destiny, you feel like you are truly part of the world. With the push recently to make a ton of movies with video game IPs, I fear that a lot of people are going to misunderstand or forget what makes a story in a video game so impactful. You. Anyways, I'm very curious to hear what you all have to say about the subject. I know there's a ton of people that really like the Mario Galaxy movie, and I respect that. I'd love to hear from people who liked it, people who didn't like it, what you thought they could have done better in the movie, and things you thought they did really well. Let me know in the comments, and we'll have a little discussion down there. And I'll see you next time.